The pounding on my garage door sounded like someone was trying to tear it down with a sledgehammer. I set my coffee on the counter and walked toward the noise, already knowing who it was. Through the small window, I saw Patricia Dalton, our HOA president, red-faced and shouting something about a stolen vehicle. Her son, Tyler, stood a few steps behind, arms crossed, wearing the smug expression I come to despise over the past 3 weeks. "Open this door immediately." Patricia's voice screeched through the metal. "I know you're hiding stolen property in there. The police are already on their way." I couldn't help but smile at that last part. If only she knew. I grabbed my badge from the counter, clipped it to my belt, and walked to the front door instead of the garage. When I opened it and stepped out, calm, composed, Patricia's expression froze. That look alone almost made all the harassment worth it. But before I get ahead of myself, let me back up a bit. 3 weeks earlier, I'd moved into Riverside Heights. After 20 years of apartment living and a recent promotion to chief of police, I finally bought a house. Nothing extravagant, just a clean 3-bedroom place with a 2-car garage. Perfect for me and for my pride and joy. A 1969 Ford Mustang Boss 429 in grabber blue. My father and I spent 5 years restoring that car together. Every bolt, every line, every piece was perfect. It wasn't just a car. It was the last thing we finished before cancer took him. I'd only driven it 3 times since the move, each time drawing a few admiring looks from neighbors. Well, most neighbors. Patricia Dalton lived 4 doors down with her 17-year-old son, Tyler. From day one, she made it clear that Riverside Heights was her personal kingdom. When I first met her, she didn't introduce herself with a smile. She handed me a 3-inch binder labeled HOA Guidelines and Expectations and scolded me for allowing my moving truck to sit 2 minutes over the allotted time. "We run a tight ship here," she told me, her bleached blonde hair perfectly curled despite the 90-degree heat. "I trust you'll be a compliant addition to our community." I smiled, took the binder, and said nothing about my job. I like to keep work and personal life separate, and I had no interest in being treated differently because of my title. But the trouble started in week 2. I was in the garage polishing the Mustang's chrome when Tyler walked right up the driveway, like he owned the place. His designer sneakers squeaked on the concrete. "Sweet ride," he said, running his hand along the fender without asking. "429 Cobra Jet," I replied, gently moving his hand away. "Just finished waxing that spot." His eyes lit up with a look I knew too well. The kind of look that said, "I want this, and I usually get what I want. You should let me take it for a spin," Tyler said. "I'm a great driver. Got my license last month." I nearly laughed. A 17-year-old with 30 days behind the wheel, asking to drive a 400-horsepower vintage muscle car? "Sorry, son," I said. "This car doesn't leave the garage unless I'm behind the wheel." His face darkened. "My dad pays a lot in HOA fees." Like a lot, that basically means he owns part of this street. So, technically, that makes me part owner of everything on it. The logic was so twisted I had to pause just to process it. That's not how property ownership works. Tyler muttered something under his breath and stomped off. 20 minutes later, Patricia was at my door, dressed in what I can only describe as her battle uniform. Crisp white pants, a navy blazer with an HOA pin, and heels that clicked like gunshots on my porch. "Mr. Morrison," she said, skipping any greeting, "my son tells me you were quite rude to him." I told him he couldn't drive my car, if that's what you mean. Her lips tightened. Tyler is a very responsible young man. When he expresses interest in something, it's only neighborly to accommodate him. We're a community here. "Ma'am," I said, "that's a classic muscle car worth more than most people make in a year. I don't let anyone drive it." She sniffed. "Well, we'll have to see if that vehicle even complies with HOA regulations. I'll be reviewing the guidelines tonight." And review she did. Over the next week, I received a series of increasingly absurd violation notices. The car was too loud, even though she'd never heard it running. The color was too bright and might distract drivers. My favorite claimed it was a commercial vehicle because it could potentially be used for racing. I responded to each notice with the patience of a saint. I'd responded to each bogus violation with exact citations from the HOA bylaws, proving Patricia's complaints had no basis. But that only made her angrier. Things escalated the following Saturday. I was mowing the lawn when Tyler returned, this time with 2 friends in tow. "Hey, Mr. Morrison," he called out, his voice syrupy and fake. Me and my boys were wondering if he'd reconsider. Maybe just a quick ride around the block. The answer's still no, Tyler. One of his friends, a thick-shouldered kid in a football jersey, stepped forward. "Come on, man. Don't be such a hard-ass. What's it gonna hurt?" "Hey, now," I said, letting just enough steel creep into my tone, the kind that comes with 2 decades in law enforcement. "You boys need to head on home. This conversation's over." They left slowly, but not before Tyler shot me a glare that all but promised he wasn't done. Sure enough, an hour later, Patricia was back. This time she brought her husband, Richard, who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. He stood silently behind her as she launched into a shrill tirade. "You've threatened my son and his friends," she shrieked. "Richard is a lawyer. We could sue you for emotional distress." Richard winced at that, but said nothing. I'd already looked him up, tax attorney. Probably hadn't stepped inside a courtroom in years. "Ma'am, I asked him to leave my property," I said calmly. "That's well within my rights." "We'll see what the HOA board has to say about this," she snapped, spinning on her heel and storming off. Richard gave me a sheepish shrug before trailing after her. I didn't attend the next HOA meeting, but my neighbor Janet filled me in later. According to her, it was quite the performance. 40 minutes, Janet said, laughing. She spent 40 minutes ranting about the dangerous element you brought into the neighborhood. She even had a PowerPoint. Called it the rise of street racing culture in suburbia. I swear, she actually used the word hooligan. I raised an eyebrow. She said your car was attracting the wrong kind of people. Janet added. I told her the only people who'd caused any trouble were her and her son. She didn't take that well. After that, the petty harassment continued. Notes appeared on my windshield. My garbage cans mysteriously tipped over on trash day. Someone even called the city to report my lawn for being half an inch too long. But all of that was just noise until the day things exploded. It was a quiet Saturday morning. I was enjoying a cup of coffee when I heard voices in my driveway. I glanced out the window and saw Tyler and his friends again, this time taking selfies through the garage window with the Mustang in the background. I stepped outside. Tyler, you need to leave. Now. It's just pictures, bro, he said, not bothering to turn around. My followers love sick rides. Get off my property. I won't ask again. Tyler's face went red. You know what? Screw you. That car should be mine anyway. You're too old to appreciate it. But you don't even know how to drive it right. I took a step forward, letting my voice drop into what my officers call my chief voice. Leave now or I'll call the police. He smirked. Too late. My mom already did. Said you stole this car. She looked up the registration. It doesn't even have your name on it. I sighed. Patricia must have gone digging and discovered the car was still registered in my father's name. I'd been meaning to file the title transfer, just hadn't gotten around to it yet. Yeah, Tyler went on, puffed up by his own arrogance. She said the cops are going to impound it. Then maybe someone who deserves it can buy it at auction. And that's when we heard the sirens. 3 patrol cars came tearing down our quiet street, lights flashing, tires screeching. Patricia burst out her house, phone in hand, wearing a look of pure triumph. Officers, she shouted, pointing. He's right there. The thief is right there. I recognized the first responders immediately, Martinez and Davidson from the day shift, followed by Thompson and Patel, the new rookie. The look on Martinez's face when he saw me standing in my driveway was priceless. Chief Morrison, he said, his voice caught between confusion and concern. Morning, Martinez. I replied calmly. Beautiful day, isn't it? Patricia's mouth fell open. Chief? What do you mean? Chief. Davidson stepped forward, his face struggling to stay neutral. Ma'am, he said carefully, this is Chief Morrison. He's our boss, the chief of police for the city. The color drained from Patricia's face. Tyler took a step back, suddenly very focused on his phone. Richard, who had just arrived, looked like he wanted the pavement to swallow him whole. But the car, Patricia stammered, the registration doesn't match. I checked. It belonged to my father, I explained. He passed away 6 months ago. I inherited it, just haven't filed the title transfer yet. Would you like to see the will? Or the death certificate? I didn't. Patricia was shaking now, completely unprepared for the reality she'd just stumbled into. Martinez, I'd like a full report filed. I said evenly. This woman placed a false 911 call, claiming a stolen vehicle. She's also been harassing me for 3 weeks because I wouldn't let her son take my car for a joyride. Martinez, already flipping open his notepad, gave a crisp, "Yes, sir." Patricia, her composure unraveling, gasped, "Wait, I didn't know. It was a misunderstanding. You told dispatch the vehicle was stolen." I replied, voice level. "You said you checked the registration. That's not a misunderstanding. That's knowingly filing a false report." Thompson, body cam activated, turned to Tyler. "Son, were you part of this?" Try and hold on to his swagger. Tyler shrugged. "Yeah, so what? He's been a jerk since he got here. Thinks he's better than us." Tyler stopped talking. Richard said, finally speaking, but it was too late. "My mom runs this neighborhood." Tyler snapped, puffing himself up in front of his friends. "She could buy and sell you. You'll regret this. We'll sue the whole department." Patel, the rookie, turned to me, wide-eyed. I gave him a nod. "Keep recording." Within an hour, the scene looked like a block party, only with more citations. Neighbors clustered on lawns, phones out, watching the show unfold. Martinez issued Patricia a citation for filing a false police report and abusing emergency services. Tyler got a warning for trespassing and harassment. All of it, every last bit, captured on multiple body cams. "This is absurd," Patricia shouted as Martinez handed her the ticket. "I'm on the HOA board. I keep this neighborhood safe." "No, ma'am," I said calmly. "You called the police because your son didn't get what he wanted. You tied up emergency resources. Resources that could have been needed for an actual crime. That's not keeping anyone safe. That's abuse." Richard finally seemed to grasp the gravity of it all. He turned to me with genuine regret in his eyes. "Chief Morrison, I apologize. This won't happen again." Then he placed a hand on Patricia's back and guided her away, whispering urgently. Behind them, Tyler trailed like a kicked puppy, no longer so loud. As the squad cars pulled away, Janet appeared beside me like clockwork. "Now that was a morning," she said. "All you wanted was a quiet Saturday, huh? Apparently that's too much to ask." She smirked. "Oh, you're not done. Patricia's called an emergency HOA meeting for tomorrow. My money's on her stepping down, if she's smart." Turns out, she wasn't that smart. Within days, the body cam footage was requested through public records. Somehow, no one ever admitted how, it ended up online, and it went viral. The headline entitled "HOA President Calls Cops on City's Police Chief" racked up millions of views. Tyler's rant about his parents buying and selling people turned into a meme overnight. At the emergency HOA meeting, Patricia tried to regain control, but the tide had turned. Years of pent-up frustration burst like a dam. Neighbors lined up to share their own stories. Fines for made-up violations, threats, bullying, arbitrary decisions. The vote wasn't even close. She was removed from the board on the spot. As she stood, she turned to face the room, voice trembling. "You'll all regret this. I made this neighborhood what it is." "No," Janet said, rising to meet her glare. "You made it a dictatorship. Now, we can finally turn it into a community." Patricia stormed out in tears. Richard stayed behind to apologize again, and to inform us they'd be putting their house on the market. Her legal troubles weren't over either. The charge for filing a false report carried a $1,000 fine and 50 hours of community service. When she showed up in court, her attorney tried to spin it as concern for the neighborhood. But Judge Hendricks, who I'd known for 15 years, wasn't buying it. "Mrs. Dalton," he said, peering over his glasses. "You admitted to checking the registration, saw a discrepancy, and instead of seeking clarification, you immediately called 911 and told officers the car was stolen. That's not concern. That's malicious intent." Her attorney tried pushing for dismissal, but the footage spoke for itself. The judge ruled swiftly, $8,000 in fines and court costs. No jail time, but only because it was her first offense. As Patricia left the courtroom, she looked like someone who just realized the world no longer revolved around her. The woman who ruled Riverside Heights with an iron fist had been undone by her arrogance, her entitlement, and a 17-year-old with more ego than brains. All because of a car she was never going to drive.